Hello and welcome. This is Margarita Crystal Lotus, and today we are going to discuss the second episode in Developing Your Healing Gifts. And today's topic is how to sense energy and also how to connect with your healing team. And together with me here, I have Jennifer Scott. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Margarita. Wonderful to be here with you today and to whomever else is out there.
Yes, that is so cool. So, as you know, I'm a life and business mentor who is kind of using her intuitive gift to help my client to overcome stress and overwhelm and to be enjoying their life and their career as far as their spiritual mission is concerned. And when somebody can connect with their spiritual mission inside, then they also always become more happier. So, Jennifer,
Yes.
what about you?
How do I sense my own energy?
Yeah, what kind of clients do you help?
Actually, I help many different types of clients. People come to see me as a hypnotherapist for weight loss, smoking, they want to stop. I'm just working with someone right now who said, I want to focus more on my work, and what he really wanted was to not be depressed. He's been depressed most of his life. And so not only is he now focusing better at work, he sells cars. And he's got a very high-powered job, but he also is opening up and feeling more alive. So that's my pleasure, to help people connect inside, because inside he's now, I wouldn't say he's happy, that's an exaggeration, but he is understanding where he shut down, when he shut down as a little boy, when he was 6 years old, and he has 2 children, and he has a whole new way of looking at life. It delights me. So someone might come to see me for weight loss, as I said, or they don't want to smoke, or they have phobias. And my specialty, I guess, is to get to the core. I love to get to the core of what it is that really keeps people from their own spirit, from their own joy. How about you, Margarita?
Yes. Well, I agree. And if we could use our healing gifts to help other people, that is awesome. So today we are going to talk about how to sense energy. We will start there first, and then we're talking about the healing team later on towards the end. So, Jennifer, how would you describe how you sensing the energy? Let's say when a client comes, how do you assess the energy levels and the energies that you can feel?
You know, that's a very good question. And I believe that everyone can feel energy. We all do it in a different way. What I guess I do, I really focus on my client. My client sits right opposite me. I ask questions. I get an intelligence that comes inside of me. It's intuition. And I can feel whether the person's closed and not in touch with their own spirit. I can feel their joy. I can feel their pain. It's an intuitive sense, Margarita, and intuition is really hard to describe, but I kind of maybe feel tingly in my hands or arms, but I'm focusing on my client. All that's important to me is my client. And I believe that when we're good listeners and are fully present with whomever or with whatever we're doing, we will pick up the energy. It could be with in your garden with the plants you're working with, or those potatoes that you talked about that you unearthed this morning, Margarita.
Yeah, so what you're saying is something similar that I do too. I sort of feel inside of my body, if I have somebody in front of me, a client, let's say, I could sometimes tune in and I feel what they're feeling inside. So sometimes they have a pain somewhere and I might feel that. And I
Right.
might also sense the energy by actually seeing the energies with my inner vision. And so that's all part of the intuition, I guess. But
Right.
the basic thing when you're sensing energy, I think, is that I tune in with somebody and then I feel what they are feeling
Yes.
underneath of their blocks, right? They might
Right.
not be aware of it, but like you can pick up on energy forms that are with the client.
Well, you said underneath the block. I can also feel the block, which I'm sure you can. And then my questions would probably be a way to move through the block. So
Yeah.
I feel more of the energy that resides within. Would you say that's true for you?
Yeah. Like, so this is not a course in hypnotherapy, which we both are hypnotherapists here.
Right.
But we would just like to propose some kind of, let's say, uh, what kind of exercise can I do, or can a person do to develop their energy? And the first thing I would say is when you want to look at somebody's energy with their permission, or you look at your garden and you look in to see where you need to do, or you look at your desk, what it is that you need to do, what is the most important, you step back a little bit and then tune in. And then there is sort of different forms of energy that could be in your field, and then you could see where they are very harmonious and where they are dissonant. Would you agree with me there, Jennifer?
Well, you're very visual, aren't you?
Yes.
Would you say that's true? And I know
Yes.
that you
Yes.
also draw because I've seen some of your wonderful little sketches. Um, I'm different. I I have to refocus a specific way, and I can see auras. But my most powerful way with my clients would be to pick up on the energy. So if I were talking to someone who may be a beginner at it, I would say to focus on breathing and get into a rhythm of breathing. Now, my particular way, and you tell me what you believe, Margarita, is to breathe in maybe on the count of 4 and then exhale on the count of 6, perhaps. Because you want to get in a rhythm. Breathing is a wonderful access to quiet your energy, to center it, and then you begin to get into a sense of what's around you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a very good start. If you have racing thoughts, or you're not
Quiet.
so focused, you can use the breath to focus so that you can tune in. Yeah,
Right,
that's
because, excuse me for interrupting you, but what I think is important when people are starting out, they're so wanting to do this, and they use too much of trying energy. I want this, I try it, and it immediately cuts it off. Could you talk about that?
of course. It's
People
like
do.
you're grasping to something and you want it so much and then it goes away and you can't
Right,
access it. So you have to step back,
right.
allow it. It's like the feminine way. We're
Yeah,
not acting, we're being. So the breath brings us back inside so that we can open this inner capacity that we have.
exactly.
Just pushing out our energy, then it's impossible to feel anything. It's impossible to actually pick something up.
Right, we don't want people to get discouraged. Because you can get discouraged if you're trying and thinking, what are they talking about? And then that just pushes the inner knowledge away. But if you get into a rhythm of quieting yourself, that's what I like to do. Even, even sitting out in nature and looking at a leaf moving in the wind and staring at it and just feeling your connection with that leaf or a branch, it begins to slow you down, because there is a rhythm in the universe, and when we can tune into that rhythm, we're part of everything. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So the quieting of your own mind is very important. I think that's maybe number one. But if you listen to this and then you want to try to feel energies around you, yes, you have to quiet down your mind, and then, like Jennifer said, maybe just sit on a rock or a chair and look at a tree, let's say, and see if you can see the energies. Because if you look at another person, there may be a lot of thoughts going through your mind. Oh yeah, that's this and that's this and that's this, and it distracts us. And so we usually also jump to early assumptions about things instead of feeling them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see how it actually is, instead of, if you're looking with your mind or your head, then you get distracted, because then it's only your own ego assumptions that goes on, right?
Right. I think the process deepens, as you're willing to, as we're discussing, quiet the mind and get into kind of a rhythm, so you feel centered. And when you practice this, it could be in your house, it could be outside in nature, you are able to move deeper into what you're looking at. Now, I'm a hypnotherapist, so I'm used to that. But anybody knows what it feels like to drift or stare at something or be in a kind of trance, because we want to get away from maybe our everyday to-do list. And so that feeling of trance is kind of an opening into another level of energy. Would you agree, Margarita? I don't know how you would express it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like you have, from the alpha state or whatever, you go the brain waves comes down to a different level of, let's say, what happens in the night when you're dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another state underneath. That's when you're in deep sleep. So you have the conscious mind here, and here is sort of another level, and then here is a very deep level, and we need all of those levels for actually accessing all parts of us.
Yes.
And somewhere in the middle there is that layer where we can access our subconscious, or we access the energies around us. And if you want to learn how to actually tune in with that one can do meditations. And in the meditation, this is what one would do to actually calm the mind. It's to lower that chatter in the brain, just sink below it, and just be present to what actually is going on, right?
Another piece I'd like to add to that, as you're not trying, it's hard to say not to do something, but it really is about relaxing. As you relax more, the mind is really the busiest part of ourselves, and when we relax our mind, our body somehow goes along with that. What you will notice, especially in nature, if something's bothering you or was bothering you, boom, a piece of information might just pop up because you're relaxed and you're not tense and trying. And that piece of information could be the answer to what you've been looking for. It's pretty exciting, and I know most people know about this, but they've never made the connection, perhaps, between the relaxing of the mind, feeling the energy around them, and then, oof, wow, that's what I was looking for. I love to see people do that.
Yeah. Well, an example of that was I went out an hour ago in my garden, and I have potatoes and garlic growing there, and I thought, oh, they're ready. I need to dig them up. I need to dig some up, and then I was in that union with the garlic, in that union with the potatoes. They wanted to show, and so I went there, and I because it rained quite a lot the other day, so I could just pull up a few garlics, and they were ready. And then I dug down a little bit gently, and there was a handful of potatoes. So they're in the oven right now. And I felt like, yes, because they're ready, and then the plant gives that. She says, they are ready. We're ready now. But if you're going too early, then they're not ripe. It hasn't grown enough yet. So that was an ideal moment, I think. And then I noticed there is some potato bugs on there, and some of them. And so that's the right time to harvest. So that I felt really good. And then I tasted one here, and it was really delicious. And if I didn't have that tuning in when I passed my garden, just walking outside, I would have missed that. Right. And then maybe the right time for harvesting had to be waited for a little more, because there's other circumstances for the plant. Do you understand what I mean?
You know, I absolutely do, and I didn't mean to interrupt you before, but you got me excited about the potatoes. And I'm curious, you live in Kingston, Ontario, and I'm curious what your potatoes are like there. And I was almost tasting them with the garlic with you, because as you tune in energetically, not only can you feel connected to a client or to a friend or a family member, but you can tune into a potato and start to see what it looks like. And I was picturing you cooking the potato, and I love garlic, so I'm picturing, my mouth was watering, and I'm wondering, what kind of potatoes are they?
They are red skin potatoes, and they were quite big, like this. And the garlics are the music garlic that's grown in the Western Canada, I think. I've had them for like 6 generations now. That's 6 years. Every year, and I planted them again and again, right? And yeah, so they are very, very tasty.
I'll bet.
And so when you are working with your energies, the result is that if you can do healing work in that same thing, then the mutual energy that is resulting is also very juicy, because you come together and that it meets, something is completed, something is healed, something is done in the right way, so that the processes inside of the body, yeah, we can complete that issue, and then it's like closing, and the things that needs to move out, they move, it moves, thus energy moves out, and usually a client can feel really relieved after a session, let's say a healing session.
Right.
And if we learn how to tune in correctly, and we say, is that issue ready to be dealt with right now? We can see that there is an issue there, but are we ready? Same way as is the potatoes ready to be dug up right now? So there is a maturity in the body, in the other person, that we have to respect. If we're going in there too early, they just can't deal with it.
Right. Timing
one might actually harm them.
Yeah, timing has to be correct, and it's our intuition that can tell us, not just a clock. And I had a thought while you were speaking about clients, because hopefully there are people perhaps watching and may continue watching our whole series, that it's not just about clients. This is so effective with your significant other, with your friends, with your family members, that you can tune in to their energy and perhaps help them with something. They may be sad, they may be going through something, and when you try to help them, you end up saying the wrong thing because you're trying and you want to. But the tuning in process of the energy releases a knowing inside, or maybe with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, your experience with them is maybe not as connected as you'd like, and you want to open up joy with that person or with those people. The same process works. Wouldn't you say that's true, Margarita?
Definitely, definitely, because timing is everything. You know, a ship comes in the storm, and then another ship comes here. It's only one moment where they meet, where you could actually go on to the other boat, right? And then they disappear in the fog again, right? So meeting people is the same thing in the timeline. Maybe we cross each other like this, but when we actually touch another and do it at the right time, then that connection is made with that other person.
Right. And you feel good. Just you feel connected.
Yeah, it's like some other power is steering us to come and make those connections. And so maybe that is our entry into the healing team. Do you have a definition of your healing team, Jennifer?
Well, I call them my guides. And I believe, and I guess my guides have told me, that they are actually emissaries from God. And so some people don't use the term God. Some people have different kinds of connections to what they call God, or they call spirit, or I've also heard the Great One. It doesn't matter what you call that power, but to me, my team or my guides are there to help me, not to do anything for me, but to guide me. Point me in a direction that's going to help me unfold to something I'm looking for or something I'm trying to develop. And I've had this beautiful guidance for a long time. And there's nothing I enjoy more than helping people tap into that power of energy and also intelligence. And as we practice these things we're talking about, and open up, more comes. There's an endless supply of that guidance. It's beautiful, healing, and makes me laugh. My guides happen to have a sense of humor, which I love because I guess I do. What do you think, Margarita?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And remember, we can also call it the ego self is here in the body. Then we have a higher self that's connected with spirit or God. Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of the intermediary between our source, let's say the thing that created us, and our personal guides. I call them my angels or my healing team, or I can also call them the higher self to distinguish the higher and the lower self. We're in the lower self. The ego is in the lower self. We react, we're getting angry, we have these issues we're working out, and so the higher self is guiding the lower self like a sort of a divine parent, let's say, that loves us and wants the best for us. So there is also other forces, but we can talk about that another time. But when you connect with your healing team, there is a very, very beautiful, loving feeling. You know there's somebody that really, really cares for you and your best.
Absolutely.
And this is so nice because at that moment I can feel this, right? And then we both got quiet.
Well, what's really terrific, Margarita, in my hosting with you is that we work energetically. And I think anybody watching us would sense that we do not have a script. We don't like working with a script. We want to talk to you out there. And we practice what we talk about. We pick up on one another's energy and dovetail with what the other's talking about. And there's a continuation. I will say, I'm sure you'll agree, Margarita, and maybe other people watching, that most men don't know what we're talking about. Because so many men will say, what are you talking about with your friend? Because men will say a couple of things and there's silence. They don't know what this is like, but some do. Wouldn't it be wonderful if more men knew what this is like?
Yeah, I have found that the females have a natural tendency in tuning in. I think it has to do with, okay, if you have a small child, you have to tune in with that child so that child is safe. And if you leave them in the other room, you tune in with, okay, the baby's safe, right? And then so the woman has a natural propensity to actually tuning in because it's necessary for the safety of her family, whereas the man is more directed, like we protecting you, you go and do action. So I feel like men is like an arrow, women is like a circle, and in order to tune in with energies, you have to be like a circle, because you have to be open to receive all around you, not just where the enemy is over there, but to everything.
Very good analogy, Margarita, because with the circle, it continues and expands outwards and moves around. That's what men, for the most part, do not understand. My husband doesn't understand this at all. He feels it's a miracle that I could be working with you, for example, the way I do, or talk to my friend on the phone or on Skype for an hour. What do you talk about? We don't even know sometimes. It's just the circle, the energy that keeps expanding, and it feels good.
Yeah. I mean, men has other gifts. I'm not a man in this lifetime, so I don't relate too much to that. I'm trying to relate to myself and learn for me how I can best be of service. And for example, to do this kind of series of learning how to develop your healing gift, which is, I think, a necessary thing that most everyone can benefit from. Because if we allow hostility, if we allow our own anger and unhealed emotion take over our being, that's, you create very much hardship for other people, and you can do a lot of harm too.
Yes.
There is many wars going on the planet at the moment, but if enough people are tuning in and say, no, I want to work on myself, I want to heal what's going on in my heart, in my body, and I want to tune in with other people too and be available, maybe I can help somebody. Not out of being codependent with them, but actually offer that service, offer that. It doesn't have to involve money. Even if you go to the bank and somebody looks sad, you can say, how are you? And then just notice them. And then sometimes they pick up and says, oh, yeah, I'm okay. And then you leave them with a smile on their face just by noticing them. That can be a very small thing that you could do to actually pick up another person.
Beautifully said, Margarita. I love how you express that. And you're right about what's going on in the world. It's hard to watch TV these days. It's so sad and painful what's happening all over the world. But we can't do very much about the bigger or the greater, but if we take care of our own little world, that's a lot, because healing in our home, within our person, radiates out wherever we go, whomever we meet. If we can radiate love, radiate our energy of goodness, smile at people, it lifts them up. And so we're doing our job, even if out there, way out there, is chaotic, painful, and people are getting killed and destroyed. If only there was more of that out there and more understanding of that, that retaliation doesn't work. It just makes more of the same. If more of this idea and these ideas we're expressing could be understood and applied on a larger scale, wouldn't the world be a better place?
I agree totally. And so when I, in my aura, like in my home and where I go, I try to be available and tuning in to the energy there, and not necessarily interfere with some other person, but when somebody's open to, you could see it. Like sometimes there's people who look so sad, and then you notice them, right? And
Right.
it doesn't need to be more than you've noticed that.
Right.
I mean, there is this technology, the Hawaiian method of healing, the Ho'oponopono. So it says something like this: when I see somebody that's sad, I have that sadness inside, and I'm going to heal that sadness in myself. Then I help these people outside who has also this sadness.
Right.
Have you heard about that?
I have, and we all have all the feelings. I mean, that's what the connection is, to be human. No matter what people look like, what their culture, religion, or background is in any way, we all hurt, we all have joy, possibilities, we all have knowledge, and we all want to feel alive and good. So, yeah, we're all really connected. Every one of us are connected in some way.
Yes. So what is, like, I want to ask you, Jennifer, let's say you have somebody, a story of something that happened to you where you either use your guidance immediately or you sensed energy. Do you have a story to share about that?
You mean when I tune into my guides?
Yeah, a personal story from your life.
God, there's so many. Let me think of one.
Maybe when you met your guides first time?
Well, I was thinking maybe of just going to guidance right now and seeing what they have to say. Because there are many stories I have. It's been a long, long time that I've had that access to my angels and utilize it. But what I do is to just, it's like turning a knob or pushing a button in a sense, or with a breath. And I just move to another stream of where there may be intelligence. And I'm hearing, I'm more clairaudient, but I'm developing my visual. Okay, what I'm hearing is, and this is to everyone watching or listening, stand in front of a mirror and look around your face and body and keep staring in particular at one eye and breathe with this eye and keep breathing and expanding that circle you talked about, and you will begin to see light around you. We know that everyone listening or watching can pretend for a moment that they too are healers. You see, all humans are healers. if they only would learn that this is true. We love being part of your hangout. Thank you.
That is amazing, Jennifer. I just saw that mirror, you know, mirror, mirror on the wall in the statue. And instead of the evil thing in there, you saw the good things.
But right. Thank you. I always say thank you because to me it's an honor and a privilege, you know, to have them enter our world and for us to enter the kingdom. To me, it's a kingdom of spirit.
Yeah, I think we're part of everything. So, like, this physical form is just one expression, but I think our consciousness, our pure consciousness, is pervading all space and all time. And so it maybe sound funny to say that, but we can be in all spots at the same time when we tune in with spirit or with our angels. And I think that each person actually are very powerful. Everyone together is very powerful. It's just to align yourself to how you want to be. And it's easy to say that, yeah, I want to be happy, and then having a lot of anger inside.
Right.
So we have to clean that out. It's our little backpack or the fanny pack or the head pack, or whatever you want to call it. It's necessary to actually move and to see that you can do something with that. Because if you are suffering, if you have pain, if you are emotionally overwhelmed, it's possible to heal it.
Yes.
Look at us. We've come that journey too, Jennifer and I. So it's like really amazing. It's really amazing. So even to actually take the first step and say, yeah, I want to learn how to tune in. I want to learn how to sense this energy. And yeah, I'm going to go out and hug a tree this evening.
Okay. You know, I would like to piggyback off something you just said, and you may disagree, but I want to talk about anger.
Yes.
Many people do not appreciate anger. I do. I happen to have grown up with a lot of anger, which was not pleasant. However, you cannot be passionate, you see, if you don't have fire. And I appreciate fire, but it has to be controlled. So that just like the ocean has all the moods, it's peaceful and calm, or it can erupt, we are like that. Some of us have more access to that than others. But I don't think of anger as something bad. It's an energy field to be managed, to be worked with, so that passion can emerge out of that, and then we can learn how to manage our energy and our anger to soften it and maybe paint with it, create something amazing, and then rest. You see, it moves, energy moves and flows. So I don't know if you agree with me, Margarita, because a lot of people do not, but that happens to be something I do believe in. What do you think?
Yeah. You see, like I agree with you, absolutely, absolutely. So we call that feeling anger or rage, but it's like you can turn it into passion.
Right.
I'm so passionate about this. And it's the same thing. It's like if you don't want the anger and you're rejecting it, it's going to fester in you, and you run by it, you're hurt by it, you get ulcers. But if you use that fiery energy in a constructive way, I'm creating this mural on the wall, or I'm going to climb that mountain, or I'm going to gather a new tribe, whatever your passion is. And then you go do it. That's an outlet for that fiery energy. And so we can't avoid having it, But we can manage it, like Jennifer said, you can manage it so that you can use it. It's like having a force band of horses. They are very powerful. Now I hold them in the rein, I want to go over there, and I'm using the horses, let's say, to go where I want to go. So we can use that as the power that we have available.
Right. And another piece of this is many people don't want it. They don't want that anger, so they'll push it down. Well, what happens to people like that, unfortunately, is you can't push it down. You can't push feelings down because they really hurt our inner being. And what happens when you push it down instead of moving it, we want to move our energy into more positive or different places that are appropriate in the moment. But what happens when you push it down like that, you may explode with someone inappropriately and hurt them.
Yeah, it's like a volcano, right? It just rips the whole reality apart. It's not good.
It's not good. But moving it and feeling that you can do that, and breathing is a great way of moving energy. I mean, we all breathe, obviously, but learning how to breathe in a way where we're centering ourselves, that we're talking about before. And flow is a word that I use so often because we want to flow with people, with nature, with the planet and the universe. We want to flow. So we can flow with that anger and learn how to do it. I mean, that's a whole other hangout, isn't it?
That's a whole other hangout. And that brings us to the completing words today. What would you like to leave as your completing words of what we've talked about today?
I want you to know that I'm excited for you because hopefully you've learned more about yourself, that you have the possibility and maybe already do feel that connection to your inner guidance, your team of angels, and that there's more for you, and that we'd like to hear from you if what you'd like to know more about this topic. So I'm excited for you because there's nothing I appreciate more than getting feedback from people about, oh, I can do this now. I didn't know that before. So that's what I leave you with. What about you, Margarita?
Yeah, that's nice. Well, I agree with you, Jennifer, that everyone on the planet has to have the right to express themselves. And when we do that, we're honestly, genuinely being ourselves. We do the best that is in our interest and for the interest of other people. And if you are more in tune or attuned to your environment, inside and outside, you could better manage any emotion, you can better manage the actions and choices you make. It's actually really essential to actually learn about this. Otherwise, it's like having a bindle over our eyes and earplugs in our ears and gagged so we can't speak. So I don't wish that for anyone.
I call it wasted energy.
Yeah. So with that, I think we are going to be completed today. What do you say, Jennifer?
I say we have completed, and bye for now.
Okay. Bye now, and see you next time.